Haili, you mentioned the book. You mentioned your
Mhm.
Mentoring in Schools book, which I have in front of me, and I've been doing my homework by rereading it this week. It's really obvious that you've got a passion about mentoring, and of
Mhm.
course that's the main reason, or one of the reasons why we've invited you into the staff room today. And I noticed that in the construction of your book, you convened a focus group of ECTs to
Mhm.
tell you what they think makes a good mentor, and it's really, really interesting, isn't it? What they say. They
Mhm.
say things that they want their mentor to be impartial and
Mhm.
approachable and passionate, and to remember what it was like when they were a new teacher. I particularly liked the ECT who said that they wanted their mentor to be a mini cheerleader.
Yes.
That's a
Mhm.
nice one. So with all of that, I mean, how do you define what a great mentor does, or what a great
Mhm.
mentor is?
I would say that a good mentor has got kind of two distinct skill sets. I would say there's sort of the soft skills, which are some of the things that you mentioned about being a cheerleader, being empathetic, building trust. Being able to be an active listener and to really listen, because I think sometimes when you've been teaching a long time, you sort of might half listen and you're thinking about something else in the other side of your brain at the same time. Or if you're me, thinking about what you're having for dinner, or you're going to be binging Harry and Meghan on Netflix or whatever
Mm.
later. But you really have to listen, and then to not interrupt, and all of these things, setting granular targets, all of these things that are the bread and butter, I would call, of mentoring, all the soft skills. But then we also now, especially with the launching of the early career framework last year and the core content framework the year before. Oh, there's dogs in my office, which is what you can hear. So
It's
sorry
it's
about that.
we call
Uh,
it the school. It's the school dog. We just call it the
yeah,
school dog.
yeah. There's
Mm.
there's Iris Connect. It's a very dog friendly place to work. So there's several running around. But I would say that there's that other subset as well, and there's that job around. Pedagogy, and I would say that for me, like, mentors are more facilitators of pedagogical progress than they've ever been before.
Right.
So when I was a mentor for many years, for example, and I look back on the way that I mentored now, and would I pass muster as kind of a perfect mentor today by today's standards? Possibly not, because I didn't do as much modeling as I probably could. I didn't triangulate with research. Was I completely conversant with all of the evidence base underpinning the ECF and the CCF? Probably not. So I
Mm.
think mentors have a huge job on their hands now. And I think, obviously the DFE recognised that when they were trying to elevate the status of mentors.
Yeah.
And that's why we have this compulsory mentor training that comes as part of programs like your own.
That's really, really interesting, isn't it? I'm delighted that you drew attention to those two aspects of mentoring. I think the first aspect of mentoring we're very familiar with, and,
Yes.
and actually we're familiar with it, but that doesn't make it easy.
No.
And not everyone wants to be that kind of person, wants to be
No.
that in tune type of person, that sounding board person, that's the person with those soft skills as you talked about. That's tough enough,
It
actually.
is. It is.
Um, but of course we've now made the job even harder, haven't we? By saying, oh, you've got to keep in mind this curriculum as well, and you've got to
Yes.
talk about evidence informed, or ECF informed practice, and that is tough. It's really tough. It proves, doesn't it, that mentoring really does matter, doesn't it? Do
Yes.
you think would you say anything more about that? Why you think mentoring matters so much? I
Yeah. I
realize that
mean,
that's also the name of your magazine, so you've got
yeah. Oh, nice plug. I like
yeah.
that. Yeah. Yes. So I'll talk about the magazine in a second. But yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I think, like many who were trained in a certain time period, I finished my training year, my IT year, and I was pretty much left to sink or swim, to be honest. I had a mentor who had a lot of the soft skills, although I hate that name for them because they're obviously not soft skills, because they're really
Yeah.
important. They're the
Yeah.
bedrock. But
Yeah.
you know what I'm trying to get across. I had a mentor who was actually really good at a lot of those things, but when it came to the kind of other part, that sort of theory into practice, the bridging piece, what maybe wasn't as good, and because of that I was left kind of floundering. I learned a lot of things in my IT year, some of which have now been debunked, but hey, that's the case with all research. We'll be saying the same things, I'm sure, about things we're doing now in 20 years time.
Yeah.
But I'd left with a lot of ideas about research, but I had no idea about what the implications for that research were in my classroom. I needed somebody there to show me, hey, you learnt about Socratic questioning. Well, actually, this is what Socratic questioning looks like in English. With a year 9 class on a Friday afternoon, I can give you analogies, I can give you metaphors from my own practice, and that for me is how mentors are important, because mentors are the bridge between theory and practice. They're the ones who are deconstructing, discussing expert practice, contextualizing it, modeling it, practicing it with you, and that's why for me they're vital. They're kind of like the scaffold, if you like, for a new teacher to walk alongside.